Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. And let me get my video going.
All right. We got 6 people in the waiting room. I'm going to let them in.
Okay.
Did you hear me?
Yep. Oh no. Yeah.
All right. All right. I'm admitting them now.
Okay.
Always, I'm here at the community board meeting, of course.
I think I cut. The hell is that?
Okay, good evening, everyone. I see we're filling up pretty quickly, so we'll probably try and see if we can actually begin the agenda in the next couple of minutes. We're just going to allow for a couple more members of the board to join, and they should.
Good evening, executive board members and community board members and residents of CB9. Great news today. Great news today. I hope you guys were happy with the verdict. No comments? No comments?
It's a small step on the path to what real justice and real liberation might look like, but tiny little baby step. Should not be a shocker. We shouldn't be biting our nails expecting accountability, but at least we got some today.
I completely agree with you, Primo. It's a very tiny step.
Yeah, very tiny.
Very tiny.
Little step.
I'll add a few. I was just gonna add, to me, it feels like a Pyrrhic victory just because of it took the largest protest in US history to get accountability. And nothing has still fundamentally changed. Like we still had, I forgot his name, from Minneapolis last week that was shot, and then the 13-year-old kid that was shot in Chicago.
Dante Wright.
Dante White.
Yeah, Dante White. And it's
Right.
just, I mean, it's just, it's still happening, and there's still no accountability.
I don't have that kind of time. Put that for last.
So,
But thank God for activists like Alicia Boyd and M. Top and Flack, because they hit the streets for a year relentlessly. And that's what it takes. You have to push back because the establishment doesn't do anything. It's activists that change the world. And unlike what community board says and minimalizes and looks down on our passion, when they should have the same amount of passion to do what's right. But so I thank that young girl for staying focused and taking that entire video. She wasn't worried about fixing her hair, doing her nails, putting on her eyelashes. She did not skip a beat. And the prosecution was awesome. Thank God for the Black Attorney General. They got those excellent attorneys in place. And we have an excellent attorney, Alicia Boyd, pro se.
I'm not an attorney.
And we,
Don't let anybody sue me for acting like I
activism is
am.
what makes changes. You have to act, Community Board 9. You can't go with the establishment and do the same old corrupt decisions and follow the puppeteer like puppets. You have to do what your eyes see and do what's right, which is what the jury did. 6 Black, I think, 6 white, or whatever. But they forgot about all that. They did what's right. Praise God. It's a small victory, but we should. It takes small steps. We should celebrate just a little bit.
I have to agree with you, Maxine. You know, I think that if we want people to respect us and respect who we are, we have to respect our own selves. We have to empower our own selves. We have to stop thinking about ourselves and our own political agendas or what we want to get out of it. We have to sacrifice those things for the betterment of our people. And unfortunately, what we see is elected officials and people who are put into positions of power, that they don't do that. They don't sacrifice their own well-beings for the well-beings of the people. They do what the establishment wants them to do. And at the end of the day, they hurt us. So I hope that board members would stop doing what the establishment wants them to do and pay attention to what needs to be done, and that they too sacrifice themselves for the betterment of people. Even if it means you only spend 2 years on Community Board 9. At least you did that 2 years working and sacrificing yourself for the people. Instead, you spend 10 years on Community Board 9 selling us out.
So true.
What good is that? What good is that?
It's not good.
Nowhere. Your people are still at the bottom of the totem pole. You're still getting arrested. We're still getting burnt and beat and shot. What do you do? How do you make a difference? By compromising and doing what the establishment tells you to do when they make a phone call and tell you don't vote for this and don't let the community speak there and don't increase the capacity so nobody can attend the meetings, or go behind closed doors and say, oh, we can't have in-person meetings. That's not healthy for us. We can't allow all the community board, the residents in this community, to participate in the rezoning. We don't have the capacity to do that. Oh, it's going to be dangerous. Just mimicking developers' interest, not to allow the community to be empowered and be a part of this process.
And
Black
still
people
mimicking that
fuck up.
sorry tune about affordable housing. It's so old and tired and untrue.
So old and untrue.
All right, I'm sorry, but we're actually getting ready to begin the meeting now.
Mr.
Madam
Chairman,
Secretary, are you ready?
Sure, sorry.
Mr. Chair, do I have the opportunity to greet the new chair of the community board, or do I wait until a special session for that?
He's not here. Oh, there he is.
Excuse me?
No, sorry.
You're for the district manager?
I didn't get an answer.
The district manager is right here. Go ahead, please. Feel free to just say
This is Williams, Mr. Baptiste. And
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
I can hardly hear you.
Hold on. My apologies.
Not just you, I couldn't hear the speakers before either, so something's wrong there.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure if there's anything to do to boost volume on this side. But we can hear you, so go ahead and say welcome.
I should go ahead and make it quick. My name is Evelyn Williams. I'm a member of the Executive Board of Community Board, being there since the 70s. Mr. Nicholas, I need to pronounce your name properly. Alnor? Is that what it is?
Nicholas Almanor.
Almanor. Almanor. I just want to greet and you and have you come to the community board. In Community Board 9, we are not able to see each other, so I can't see you. I don't have a computer.
I think I heard my name. I'm here.
I am not seeing you in person, but I'm seeing you spiritually. So I want to greet you and ask you to just take your time. You come to the board. Don't listen to the rhetorics. Don't listen to the things you read. Don't listen to the things you hear. You're here for one purpose only, and that is to serve the community. The community board at large you don't work for us. You work for the community. And I know that is your intent. I know you researched this community before you came. As a good leader, that's what you should do, and I'm sure you did. So I want to commend you and wish you well. I want to tell you that originally you would not have been my choice. However, things happen, and sometimes the good Lord, for those of us who believe in God, knows that he does what he does, how he do it, when he does it, and maybe you were the person that to come now to see that we move forward. The community board have had some struggles, yes, like every community. We are not alone. We're not unique. And we hope that with your help and your determination, your community expertise or whatever, because I'm sure you come not to learn, but to continue learning. We hope that we will be able to work with you and that you will help to build a vibrant community board, maybe not to what it was before, but maybe even to a higher level. So again, I wish you well. I wish you good standing here, and I hope that you will enjoy working in Community Board 9. Again, my name is Evelyn Williams. I am homesick. I'm fighting cancer and COVID, but I am here. I've been in the board since that time, and I have nowhere else to go. So I hope to meet you as soon as I am able to come out in the public. Right now, my immune system is very compromised. I cannot be in public. But I wish you well. And please, sir, don't listen to the rhetoric. You're here to serve the community, and whatever you may hear, put it under your desk. Thank you so much. Nice meeting you in the spirit, and I hope to meet you in the flesh soon.
Okay. And my apologies, Ms. Williams. I think it was a little cross. So our new district manager is actually, I said there's a little cross on my part. I apologize. The district manager, he's here. His name is Dante Arnwine. So he is here.
He wasn't hearing me?
No, he heard you, but I think I might have given you the wrong name. I gave you the wrong name. But I just want to make sure. Dante Arnwine.
His name, as long as he heard what I had to say to him and he accepted my greetings, that's okay, mister. You're not perfect. None of us are perfect, and I love you.
Okay.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Okay, and with that, I think you've taken the need for me to do a welcome this evening. But very briefly, welcome to everyone to our Executive Committee meeting for Community Board 9 for the month of April. I'm going to keep it very brief this evening, so we're just going to jump right into the agenda. Next on the agenda, with regards to the rules of conduct, we're going to waive the reading of the rules this evening. Just the reminder in terms of when we come here in the spirit of community to do work. So to the best of our ability, we're going to try and make sure we're recognizing points. We do ask that you please stay succinct to make your points. We're going to move on. We need to carry out the agenda for the evening. And please just be respectful of all the other viewpoints that are here. We don't always agree, but we also should always be respectful of all those others who are in the community. We share the same neighborhood. And with that, we are now going to go into public commentary. I'm sorry, we're going to go into public commentary. Dante, do we have anyone who had signed up for public commentary?
Not that I am aware of.
Okay, that's fine. All right, so we are going to take a list for comments. Bear with me 1 second, just want to get the speaker's list. Dante, who do you see? I'm just going to take a
Ms. Boyd has her hand raised.
Okay, so I have Ms. Boyd. Is there anyone else for public commentary?
As of right now, that's the only person I see.
I saw Ms. Barnes. I saw your hand wave. Did you want to be public commentary as well? Okay, and Ms. Barnes as well.
Okay.
That's all I see. We'll do another call after those two. Ms. Boyd, go ahead. You have the floor. You have 3 minutes.
As I was stating earlier, as we all know, there has been a decision in the case. It's a very small step, but it should, one of the things that I find very disturbing about this community board is that people put their bodies on the line to ensure or to try to ensure that the community is empowered, and this community board and some of its members do everything to curb that. I'm quite disturbed over the fact that here we're fighting for in-person hearings, so people like your existing board member will be able to participate in a virtual hearing, so she'll be able to see everyone present, be able to respond, be able to ask questions, and also to be able to make comments. And it was quite disturbing to see board members express their unwillingness to allow the community to participate in something like that underneath the guise of wanting to protect people from COVID-19, even though we have schools opening up, we have restaurants opening up, we have events now happening in the park and in the garden, you know. So it's such a shame, and it's a disrespect, and it's such disheartening to watch this community board and its Black members do everything that they can to disempower Black people. And then we wonder why white people just don't have any respect for our own wellness and do not believe that we matter, because we don't even act like we matter. So I would hope that this board will start to think about empowering us and think about what's in our best interest and not what's in their own political best interest, worrying about their own political agendas, their own wanting to move up in the world. And I would hope that this board begins to consider that and behave that way. So that's my comment.
Thank you, Ms. Boyd. Ms. Barnes, we recognize you. 3 minutes.
Yes, I concur with Alicia. Whenever the community comes up with not decisions, any input or any engagement, we're put down. Whatever we say, your immediate response is no. When you are in fact a community board, not a board. And it is very discouraging. It's absolutely discouraging. One thing it does come to mind is that it's so ironic that you had a celebration for Jackie Robinson Day. It's really ironic that you would do that. And at the same time, in what was the last general board meeting where we were promised repeatedly that, oh, it would all be covered in the ULURP. We asked for fundamental information on the 960, and certainly that would have a detrimental impact on the Jackie Robinson playground. But you chose to have a celebration. Worse, okay, one thing you are is true to form, consistently corrupt and non-informed. What did you do? You notified the community of this alleged celebration of Jackie Robinson when you're doing any and everything to destroy his playground.
Oh my God.
I'm not finished. My God, he gives me the power. And I pray every time I come in here because it's toxic and he speaks for me and through. You notified the community's day up. How could we possibly participate? Who did that and why?
You know why?
Everyone.
You know why? They don't want it.
Order of the day. Order of the day. Order of the day.
They don't want
Finish your point, Ms. Barnes. Order of the day, Ms. Morgan. Finish your point. Your time is gone.
And my question is, who did that? How do you give an email same day? And as we sit here, you never get agendas. I don't know who's on what committee. I don't know who chairs what committee. Anything we ask, it's like a secret damn society. Excuse me, Father God, because this place is toxic and it makes me lose my religion. Who made that decision? How did that happen? You had a trolley car, sounded festive, sounded really nice. How you don't invite the community? Hello? No response. Okay, well, moving on. We still didn't get the declaration page. We still don't know what's going on at 960. Again, you are true to form. Okay, you follow the establishment very well. You do that good. You do nothing for the community. Thank you, community, for listening. Please, anybody that shouldn't take it personally doesn't. But those that do, just take it personally. Because I'm fed up. And I hope this George Floyd decision will jumpstart this community board to start doing what's right, as Alicia said, for the community, this Black community, for your people. I hope it will. Oh, last thing, okay, I don't know about my minutes.
You're actually done. But just conclude your point.
To Thursday's Earth Day celebration on Eastern Parkway, high noon. All the wannabes and all the alleged electors that serve the community, come up to the community. Thursday, Earth Day, to save our green spaces, the Jackie Robinson Playground and the Brooklyn Botanical Garden. The Eastern Parkway entrance next to the museum. See you there, King Fred.
Don't forget to bring your flowers.
Thank you. Primo, I do see your hand up. Did you want to speak during public commentary?
Yeah, sure. I'm still a member of the public, right? And so, I think some of the comments made deserve some response, some acknowledgement. I want to say first, like Alicia and Ms. Barnes, always appreciate your presence, the level of energy and commitment that you bring to these meetings, as well as the passion behind it. It's meaningful and it's important, and I think that it drives change, so I appreciate that. I think that when you speak about toxicity, but also engage in some of those behaviors, it can be challenging. It feels like there's an opposition of the community versus the community board. And it feels like in an ideal world, we're actually just working together towards the things that we'd like to achieve. I don't think it's helpful to speak about Black people on the community board as a monolith or about the community board as a whole as a monolith, because I'm sure that you're aware that there are people who would like to see some of the same changes that you would like to see and work towards some of those reforms. And perhaps if you approached it from a perspective, as I would hope to, of working together, we could achieve some of those things. I think you made a claim that anything that you request is not completed. I think just this week, we saw your request to increase the capacity for Zoom meetings be moved from 100 to 500 the same week that you made that request. I know that it's maybe too little, too late, and it should have been 500 before, but we can't just come out and say that nothing that you ever asked for happens, because we are able to move towards reforms. We are able to increase the capacity of this board. And I think if you are invested in the future of this board, which I am, and can recognize some of its faults, but also acknowledge some of its strengths, we'll probably get to a better place together. So that's all that I wanted to say.
Here, here, 10 cheers to that.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any other members who want to speak during public commentary?
What I find is disturbing is that we have to file
Ms. Boyd, we get once. Ms. Boyd,
a lawsuit in order for you to do it.
So we are now going to move on. In the agenda, we are going to go to the committee reports. Let's see. In no particular order. Debbie, do you have a report for economic development? Would you like to lead us off this evening? Oh, I'm sorry, hold on, we can't hear you, hold on. Yeah, Dante, would you be able to take care of Debbie's mic?
Hi, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Hi. So we had a meeting on the 12th, the Economic Development Committee. We had a small group, but we did have a nice discussion on things that we would like to see happen and projects that we would like to do. Also, in terms of the corridor walkthrough, we talked about that, and we hope that, you know, we're able to get that going. We look forward to walking through the community and getting a sense as to, you know, what businesses are affected and, you know, how we can reach out to them. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Are there any questions for the treasurer regarding economic development? Questions, please, only. Okay, seeing none. Ms. Timothy, thank you very much for your report for informational purposes. Only because I see you right next to her. Mr. Almanor, do you have a report for Parks?
Yes, just want to report that we have I had my first meeting as chair of the Park Recreation and Culture Committee. We have already submitted the minutes. People can see what happened in the minutes. Couple of resolution was there, and you could check that by looking at the minutes. Being the incoming chair, I'm in the process of trying to see how I'm going to work with this committee. So I'm hoping for the next meeting, we will work to structure it in such a way to address many important priorities. I don't think that committee has set this priority there, and I think that's what we're going to do for next meeting. And that's the extent of my report.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Almanor. Are there any questions for the Chair of Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Affairs? Hold on, I'll take a list. Ms. Boyd, I see you. Are there any other questions? I don't see any. Ms. Boyd, go ahead with your question.
I mean, I was at that committee and there were 2 resolutions that were passed that were supposed to be presented to the executive board. Are you not going to present those resolutions to be presented to the executive board? What's the sense?
Well, that's the reason I said the resolution are part of the minutes. And I think we should refer to the minutes before we present it to the board. And I wanted to set up the priority of the committee first before I present them to the board. I don't have any problem with the resolutions, but since I'm chairing that committee, I'm trying to set up the priorities.
Yeah, but that's not how, this is not how it's supposed to work, guys.
Ms. Boyd, Ms. Boyd.
Okay, so
How is it
allow him to
supposed to
speak,
work?
Alicia.
Wait a minute,
Boyd.
I'm asking a question. I was at a committee.
Your question was asked and answered.
Oh, so you're not going to
Ms.
present the resolution
Ms.
to the
Boyd,
executive?
Ms. Boyd, thank you. I am chairing the meeting.
This is why
Mr.
we have a
Almanor,
problem. This is
Mr.
exactly why we have
Almanor,
a problem.
Mr. Almanor, do you have any information that you have for the executive committee at this time?
The information I have, there were 2 resolutions presented. And I wanted to present them at the next meeting because from my understanding,
See?
the ultimate decision for the board is the general board. Recommendation can be made to the executive committee. 2 propositions was made regarding 960 Franklin. What I tell people, please refer to the minutes submitted to the board so you could see that the resolution are there. And that's basically to the extent I wanted to talk about them.
Okay, so do you want these resolutions presented at the general board meeting?
Correct. I think that's where it should go.
Okay. So when we create the agenda, please advise what the resolutions are. We'll make sure they're on the agenda for the board to have. And also, please make sure you work with the district office so that they're sent out in advance, so that way the board can.
I tell you.
But Ms. Bryant, I see you, and then we're going to close on you.
And then Ms. Pinkerton also wanted to speak. I see it in the chat.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay,
So Ms. Bryant,
I'm up.
we close.
I'm up.
Yes.
Good evening, everyone. I just want to say that I'm the co-chair of this committee, and the committee's understanding was that the 2 I guess they're called amendments, that were made for to be presented to the board were to be told to the board what we want. One has to do with an alienation to parkland, which is a letter that we would like that the board, that CB9 sends to elected officials to co-sign with us, and Assemblywoman Farah Safant that says that we are in support of BBG in being protected as a parkland. And then there was a second amendment that we made that I've forgotten what the second amendment was, but we made a second amendment and we wanted it both to be presented to the board, and to say that it will be presented in the minutes at the board is a little disingenuous because it's sort of like sliding it under the rug. And I guess that's the point that I'm trying to make, is that we were very specific that we wanted it to be presented to the board at this time and not something that is sort of forgotten. So,
No, and I think
I'm not disagreeing with my chair. I'm not disagreeing with my chair. It's just that the presentation was a little different than what the committee agreed upon. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, we will review. I will review with the chair. We'll make sure that if there is action items that were voted on by the subcommittee, typically we would take care of those. We dispose of those in exec. As they're not prepared for exec, there will be an opportunity for the full board to consider. So we'll work to make sure the materials are presented to the full board. There will be an opportunity for a presentation made and discussion, and the board will dispose of the matter, either voting in favor or if there's any other action to take that at that time. Ms. Pinkerton, do you have a question?
Hi, can you hear me? Yes, no, I couldn't unmute. So I just reiterating, but as soon as Mr. Alomar said that he read the minutes, I was like, well, that's kind of odd. I mean, I think you as a chair would have called him on it saying, well, if you have items in the minutes present them here at this meeting. I went to the email that sent out the agenda for this meeting in addition to a lot of other public events, and I'm not seeing the minutes for the Parks Committee. So it's kind of hard and disjointed to kind of be searching all over for this information. So just as a matter of practice, I think it'd be a really good idea if called upon a committee head and they had a meeting and they have minutes to really summarize the meeting minutes in the executive meeting. That was one point. And again, I would ask, and I don't know if this is a heavy lift, but it would be nice day of meeting to send out the information for the meeting. Like maybe, I don't know, sometime today, it would have been a nice thing. Executive board meeting, here's the agenda, here are all the applicable attachments. It's really helpful rather than hunting and pecking for, the communication that was sent last week. But that's all. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to close on that. Thank you. So Mr. Almanor, we'll work on, we'll review the minutes, we'll find out the action items. As we stated, we'll make sure that the materials presented to the board for consideration. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Moving on. Primo, do you have a report for youth services?
Sure. Yes. Youth services. So we hosted an event 2 weeks ago. Our financially lit event, as the youth say. I think it was a success. Fred was very kind to come. A few members of the community board, Fred included, made donations so that we could give gift cards and invest in our youth who invested in themselves by coming to the event. And so we were able to garnish all participants in the event with a gift card. So kind of what happened in the event itself. We had opened up with a panel. Panel was one entrepreneur, one person who works for the Nets, somebody who's a restaurant owner, both people of color, speaking on behalf of what it means to work and to own your own business, which a lot of our students expressed interest in. And then we moved into kind of a dual workshop, one kind of about financial literacy, the other one about a resume workshop. The financial literacy piece was led by two people who work in financial literacy, in finance, who are women of color from the community, which was really great to see. And then we kind of closed up with a reflection and, kind of the handing out of the gift certificate. So really kind of a joyous event, a lot of really great questions from the students who attended. And I think in reflection, we realized that maybe we tried to pack too much into one event and would like to kind of break this out into more specific events in the future. So that's kind of the report on the last event. And moving forward, we are going to host one final event before we kind of close up shop for the summer. And so we're going to meet early in May to determine what that will be, and then hopefully host the event in either late June or early July. So that's a little bit about what's going on with the Youth Services Committee, always evolving, always open to feedback, and open to your questions. I see two hands raised. Julia, I think, is an old hand raised, and Alicia is a new hand raised. So Alicia, what's up?
First, I just want to say that it's always nice to hear action items actually happening and that a committee is actually performing something other than just meeting. So I just say that you are an inspiration to your other committee members and chairs. So hopefully they will start to model some of the behavior that you have been exhibiting for the last year in your youth committee. So I just want to say that. Secondly, when you said Fred donated money, is that money from CB9?
Money from,
because we know that CB9 has an excess budget of about 40,000. Not exactly sure, but around there. Did they give you money?
I took all of the proper channels. I met with Miss Timothy, with Fred, with Warren to assess where we could draw funds from. And so some of the kind of outcomes of that meeting, we're a process-oriented board, but I can share that information with you, obviously. And so, I think some of the key takeaways are one, we can find budget to pay people, but they need to be registered vendors with the city before we can pay them from the community board's budget. And so moving forward, that's going to be something that we can do. Unfortunately, community board dollars cannot be utilized to give gift cards, and so we would need to fundraise that money privately. It is something that we do aim to do, and we can also, bring in kind of in-kind gifts from the community, but we can pay people, and so we're thinking about what it looks like to pay the youth moderators for our events, as well as what it looks like to pay individual folks. And I think your idea around promotion that you shared at the last event is also something that I listened to, I heard, I took seriously, and is probably going to be something that we work towards for our next event. So just wanted to share that.
Well, again, I'm so glad that you're able to have those conversations with community board, and I hope that you will share your process so that the other board members, when they look for funding for their activities, you will be their model.
Yes.
Because we know that it has been difficult for other committees to get funds. But thank you. Appreciate it.
Understood. Well, I'm here for anybody else who wants to listen or share best practices on the community board, for sure.
Ms. Bryant, I see your hand is up. Oh, I don't see Ms. Bryant though. Is she there?
I think Ms. Bryant's was an old hand.
No problem. Okay, let's find that. All right. Otherwise, Primo, thank you very much for the report. Moving down, or moving across, Real, you have a report for education, library?
It's a brief report. We're putting our efforts into two final events, a summer resource and book fair in June. Date has not been set yet. Also trying to get a better gauge of what is possible. In COVID world, we'd like to be a little bit bigger than the one that was held in front of CB9, the CB9 office a couple of months ago. So hopefully that's useful for the community. A fun event is we're going to try and organize a virtual spelling bee for the kids to have some fun for elementary school. Let's call it the first annual CB9 spelling bee, in person next year, virtual this year. And so we're reaching out to our elementary schools to sign up for that. And then towards the end of the year, we will gather information from our principals so we can start thinking about how to support and how to organize our committee for 2022 and get a sense of where the principals are. I think principals have been snowed under as it is, trying to navigate through the last couple of months, but slowly have to start turning their attention to September. And hopefully we can get some feedback from them to see how the community board and how the committee can support. That's important.
Okay. Thank you very much, Real. Are there any questions for the education chair? All right, Alicia, we see you. Please make it a quick question. Just a question.
It's not a question. It's just a comment. Again, thank you so much for all your hard work. Again, as I've been sitting in these committees, I noticed that you guys are doing a great job, and I'm sure the members of the community board and the residents in the community appreciate all your hard work that you're doing. So thanks.
Appreciate it.
Riel, I had a quick question for you.
Nope, time's up. Missed it.
Sorry, I'm sorry, Fred. Let me know if it's okay.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Riel, I saw that the education committee was backing some of the Jackie Robinson. Am I right? I feel like I saw that in the email. That part of it was done in concert with Jackie Robinson. I thought it was a great event. I think the point that Ms. Barnes had made earlier would have been great to have a little bit further of a heads up for the.
We're having a little problem hearing you. Your mic, I can barely hear you.
Oh, sorry. Can other folks hear me? I'm getting feedback from you, actually, Fred.
Yeah, I'll respond to Primo. So that was a single-handedly or almost single-handedly an initiative by one of the CB9 education committee members, and Melanie, and the main issue was just timing. In the original planning, there was this a much bigger schedule of events as it was planned. That is something I think we're going to take another shot at next year. Really what similar to the youth committee, right? If once you have kind of your set events, then you know right out the gate in the fall what you can work on. And I think we have a book fair, we're going to have a resource fair, we're going to have something fun with a spelling bee, and we'll have a Jackie Robinson celebration. And I think those were going to be fixtures that we can then plan out properly. So Melanie did all the work. The timing and the promotion was not ideal, and it was one of those things that kind of fell right in between meetings where we didn't really get to discuss it as much as we wanted to. But it'll be better next year.
Thanks, Phil. I really appreciate that, and for all of your hard work. You've taken the education committee from like nothing to something very quickly, and I recognize that.
Well, it's easy to take something from nothing to something. But I appreciate the kind words.
Oh, well, I echo those kind words. Thank you so much for all the work that you and your committee are doing. You're on the right trajectory. You're going places. I really appreciate all your work. Sorry, was that Ms. Williams? All right. I see Ms. Moses. Are you on the line?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah. Did you want to do a ULURP committee report now, or did you want to hold off a little bit?
Oh, no, I'll give it now. We met on April 13th, and we did some discussion on the 960 project presentation of 2/24/21, and there were a number of people that did presentations, which I thought was great. As far as public hearing, that's still pending. It depends upon what happened in court, so we really can't do any planning for that as of yet. As far as, we did submit our minutes, so our minutes is available for the committee. I believe got them, but they're going to be available for the board and for the community residents. The minutes are really good, and I thought that the meeting was great also. I have another problem that I guess you'll tell me how to address this. I have two members that really, I have one that's a board member and one that's a community resident that really does not show up at the meetings, and they really need to be removed. Do I need to take a vote with my committee, or can I just submit their names? Because one is a board member and one is a community resident.
Let's talk about it, but all you would do is just submit their names, let me know what the situation is, and we'll take the steps after that to.
And that's about it.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions?
I just wanted to thank the district manager for increasing the attendance to 500. Now, I don't know how we're going to control 500 people, but however, it is great that it's going to be more people that can participate. So I want to thank you for that.
Okay.
If I
I'm sorry, hold on. I'm sorry, did you have a question, Alejandro, or?
Yeah, just a quick point on the 500 Zoom limit. I'm unsure if that increase in limit also came with additional features for allowing like the gallery view for just certain spotlighted members. And I think that may be helpful if we have a large meeting, more than 100, and we get to like 200 people to highlight committee members.
Okay. If I could ask, hold on to that one. The district manager will give his administrative report later on, so he'll be able to address that at that point.
Okay.
Okay. Dante, is that okay? Okay. Yeah, the district manager will cover that. All right. Now, I'm sorry, going back, we have questions for the ULURP chair. Ms. Boyd, I see you. Are there any other questions for the ULURP chair? Seeing none, we're going to close the list on Ms. Boyd. Ms. Boyd, please ask your question. Please make it
What was so disturbing about that hearing or meeting was the fact that you knew beforehand that there was a 100-person limit, and the fact that the first meeting hearing had had already bumped that number. And so if you really truly wanted to ensure that every resident and anybody interested, you would have increased the 500 before the meeting, but you wait until after the meeting conveniently when there were,
Ms. Boyd, your question.
dozens. I'm getting to my question. There were dozens of people who were unable to attend the meeting and thus did not get the opportunity to hear or even to make any comments. So my question is, how do you plan on fixing that issue? How do you plan on ensuring that the residents who wanted to attend and were unable to attend will be able to get this information now that you have miraculously paid the additional $50, every month for the 500 person limit?
That is not a question for the
That
ULURP
is
chair.
Well, who's the question for?
The ULURP chair doesn't pay the bill. The district manager will address some of that question during his.
You wanted me to answer that?
Yes, I wanted to say, how do you plan on making it up to the community? How do you plan on?
How I'm planning on making it up?
Do you plan on redoing it? That's the question.
Well, first of all, like he said, I had no control over how many members could attend, and I also understand that it also went into Facebook too. So listen, at the end of the day, I'm not making up anything, and we will move on with however many people show up. And Alicia, you know what? 500 people or even 200 normally doesn't show up, but because it was talking about a specific subject, that's why so many people came. And so now that we have the 500, there shouldn't be any problem. That's the only thing I can tell you. I can't reach in my pocket and get no money.
It wasn't about money. It was about ensuring that that everyone who wanted to attend will be able to attend and hear the information. Because
and hopefully, hopefully when that TRO is lifted, hopefully we can do some planning around it. But right now, we do nothing and can say nothing.
Well, you can plan for another meeting. The TRO has nothing to do with it.
Okay. Listen, we're going circular now. So the question has been asked, answered. Some information will be provided by the district manager. Ms. Barnes, I do see you have a question. I did close. I will take your question, but it has to be brief.
Thank you for taking my question, Fred. Why are you so negative and nasty and sarcastic when you talk to the community? That's, I guess, a statement. But here's my question. My question is, why is it that I would think all committees are connected to, in some way, this rezone and certainly the Brooklyn Botanical Gardens. That is a worldwide issue. The Botanical Gardens have 1 million visitors. And when we voted, you get, oh, I abstain, and oh, I don't know the issues, and oh, I stepped away for a minute, and I don't know what's going on. How don't you know what's going on with the each and every committee, as I said, is connected. Each committee, we could talk about the Brooklyn Botanical Gardens. This is your legacy to your children, to your community. And for you to dismiss it, oh, I don't know what's going on, and ULURP committee, I abstain. How do you abstain? How you don't have a position to protect the community? That's my question. I'm just so frustrated. Can I get an answer?
Who are you speaking to?
I'm speaking to the ULURP committee where people abstain.
But you're speaking to me then, right?
And all of the committees and board members at the general board, when it came up, Amy's wonderful idea for a town hall where we would exchange ideas and information, God forbid. Here's Barack sitting in there, and everybody knows. He's seen the declaration.
Okay, Ms. Barnes, we do need to move on. Pat, Ms. Barnes, we need to move on. Pat, did you want to answer the question?
Right, I just wanted to say one thing. What you can do is you can also, for the people that haven't attended our meetings, you can also, I think you can go into the website now and you can actually view our last meeting, our last ULURP meeting. So anybody that hasn't seen the presentation can do that. And anybody that want to know about our meeting or what was transpired in our meeting on the 13th, that's also posted. So you can also do that. So people that wasn't there can also look and see.
That's the step. Thank you, Pat.
Okay.
I also, I saw.
Ms. Barnes, we have to move on.
Okay. But I hope you got Alicia's email on how to follow process. I think it's CB2. Follow the beat.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Moving on, we are now, Francisca, are you able to do a report for Health and Social Services right now?
Yes, I can. Hi, good evening, everyone. April 15, we met on April 15th, and Kings County Hospital presented, and it was an excellent presentation on sexual harassment, assault and awareness during COVID, and the information, and it was presented by the unit, the sexual harassment unit from Kings County Hospital, and Ms. Blair did the presentation, and it was an awesome presentation. And after that, our community met, and we had quite a few community partners who joined. We also had one of the community partners who presented, and I think she did give some information on funding for youth programs. And this information will be forwarded to the youth committee so they could have that information, where she said that they have this program and they have thousands of dollars which they want to give to the community. And I know that the youth committee would do very good with that funding. So Primo, I will, and I think as well as the education committee, so I will forward this information to you, which I had already spoken to Mia at the office and let her know. I will get that information because the secretary for the committee, I tried reaching out to her to get that information, but I will have her to forward it to you so you can look into it. Also for following that, for May 6th, we have another segment of healthy cooking during COVID. The one which was done last month, it was excellent. We had a Dr. Simon, who presented on diabetes. So it's a 3-part series. We had the first series. Next month, we'll have the second one. And we'll be focusing, we'll have our chef who will be presenting, who will be doing the cooking as well. But we will be featuring also on obesity and diabetes as well. On the 6th, May 6th also, we will be, I'm sorry, I think I told you for healthy cooking May 6th, since we have a conflict because on May 6th, we do have a mental health forum and coping with mental health during COVID, and that's May 6th, 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. And some of the areas that we will be covering is what are some of the signs and symptoms of depression. How can you tell if your child is depressed? And what are the ways to manage anxiety and depression during COVID? And also, what is the difference between mental health and mental illness? And we have a psychologist from Kings County Hospital who will do presenting. So that's on May 6th. The board has the flyer. The flyer is posted, and we will be sending it out to our community partners as well. So because of the conflict with the two, the healthy cooking during COVID, then we have to move it. So the date, we'll have the date at a later time. And so we are looking, we also we'll be having a night of a game night and also a yoga night. So one of our community partners, she really wants to come on with us, and then we'll have a day that we will meet at the park where we'll go walking. We'll go walking, jogging, however, we'll have a date for that also. Then we'll have a date where we'll pull our furnitures on the side in the evening, and we will do some yoga. And then also in everything that we do, we still need a little recreation. So we'll have a game night as well. Those dates are coming. Also, we are going through so much, and then it's just like every day is something different. So we just need a little downtime for ourselves. So we bring our families together, and then we'll have some fun. That's my report, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Ms. Leopold. Are there any questions for the Chair of Health and Social Services? Call for a second time. Any questions? Ms. Boyd, I see you, and hold on a second. Are there any other questions? Seeing none, Ms. Boyd, and we will close on Ms. Boyd.
I'm just putting, we're trying to find out the information. One of the board members had made, Pat had made the position that we can access the ULIC committee and also and I would like the park committee. So is that going to be answered?
Answer that.
Okay, hold on, Pat. We are talking about health and social services. So do you have a question germane to health and social services?
No, I have a question about the previous because we can't seem to find it.
Okay, and we will work to get that out to the committee. We'll discuss that. Mr. Manager's coming right on deck. We'll take care of it.
Let me just say something, Freddie. It wasn't. I saw it later on after I closed out. It was in the chat section, and I didn't pick it up. But I just would like to answer it just right now, because it's really simple for them to go into. How you do? You go into the Community Board 9 website, and then you go under the caption of news, and then you scroll down to the end. It's going to say 960 Franklin Avenue presentation. When you go into that site, all the rest of you'll see their presentation, but all the rest of the committee members' information is going to be in there in terms of, you can look at all of them, really. If you haven't attended the meetings, you can actually view them, because I have. Okay, I'm going to get out now.
No problem. Thank you very much for pointing that out. All right. And thank you very much, Fran, for your report. Let's see. Warren, are you online? Do you have a report for environmental protection? Warren, are you there?
I don't see him.
Yes, no, I'm here. I apologize. I just had a phone call as Fred was bringing me up, and I had to disconnect it. The EPC meeting, we didn't have a quorum. In fact, it was just me, Fred, Mia, and the representative from Alkia, the council member from her district. But we had a good conversation with her. We had a number of things on the agenda. One was 960 and how the EPC wants to approach it. And we have about 9 or 10 items that fall under the EPC. So when we reconvene, we will suggest it and we will discuss each one of those items. The other part is that we broached the subjects. Dante did some good work about the 10,000 new hires for sanitation and for everything else that the 10,000 hires are from. And what we learned from that is that our litter box collections from the litter is going to go from 3 days to 7 days, which will be good for the community. We've been broaching the subject of the Army generator at the Armory. And we've had a number of complaints about its noise and its fumes. And the action the community board has taken was to call an independent evaluator from DOP or DOT, I'm sorry, in order to find out what's going on. The next complaint was Firestone. We had a lot of garbage there and lot cleaning, and we did contact the DOT, and they are going to take a look at what's going on, and they referred it to their lot cleaning unit. And the last part that we weren't satisfied on was the Strauss fire, where the building was sort of blown up, and we're waiting for a report. We got an initial report from the fire department, but it really didn't satisfy things. So we're waiting on that. And that's my report.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Burke. Are there any questions for the EPC? Okay, seeing none, we're going to move on. Thank you very much, Mr. Burke. And last but definitely not least, I believe it's last. I see Carmen. Do you have a report for transportation?
Yes, hi, good evening. I have a brief report because number one, we didn't have any update on Empire because Alexandra didn't come to the meeting. And then we did not have update on Clow Road because according to them, they had not been able to communicate with Carl Cohen. However, he called me the next day and apologized, say he was not aware of the meeting. So I invited him to the Public Safety Committee meeting. So if Yako is giving his report, he can give you update on the communications and the conversations that were had about Clow Road. What we did have was a presentation on open streets. And there are some interest expressed by a lot of the committee members on open streets in the district, which is something that, you know, they have been talking about for a while. So there were suggestions made about Flatbush Avenue, Lincoln Road, where those restaurants are, Parkside Plaza, perhaps on weekends, kind of like the way they do on Vanderbilt Avenue. What we will have to do is, I'm going to be speaking with Debbie, the economic development, to see if we can do a joint kind of survey of the businesses, the restaurants and the other businesses, to see what their interests are in terms of participating in open street, because it does entail management and expenses and things of that nature. So they have to also buy into it. We're also going to reach out to the Park Plaza bid to see if they are also interested in working with the committee and the board in trying to locate or, you know, designate certain areas in the district for open streets. So we will have further information at the next meeting after we conduct those surveys and outreach. That's the end of my report.
Okay, thank you very much, Carmen. Are there any questions for the transportation chair? Okay, I call for a second time. Are there any questions for the transportation chair? Okay, seeing none, we're going to close. Thank you very much, Carmen, for your report. Are there any other committee chairs that I did not recognize? And I apologize in advance if I didn't see you.
Alejandra. Yeah, Housing Committee.
Alejandra, I am so sorry. I am so sorry.
It's okay.
Humble apology.
Yeah, so at the last meeting, we went over 960 and had a discussion again about the housing impact of it and the breakdown of the affordable housing and what the income limits would be, and kind of going over again the presentation that was presented at the prior month's meeting, and then also again I presented at the ULURP meeting. I also gave updates, or tried to get updates on Associated on Nostrand. As for right now, they were supposed to be out on April 9th and they are still open. So my understanding is they're just going to stay open until I guess they get an eviction order from a court. Which could, given that there's an eviction moratorium in place for also commercial tenants, could be a while. And then beyond that, we also discussed the recent budget, which provides billions of dollars for rent relief and new ways to pay off rent arrears for tenants to make sure that they're able to stay in their apartments. And so I'm looking to coordinate with the local electeds, particularly State Senator Zelma Myrie and Diana Richardson, to have a forum at some point before we leave in the summer to go over all of the changes so that the community can understand when they're eligible for these rent relief programs and everything else. So.
Okay, so you was done?
Yeah, that's it. That was it.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. Are there any questions for the housing chair? Okay, Ms. Boyd, I see you. Hold on 1 second. I'll create the list. Are there any other questions for the housing chair? All right, seeing none after that, Alicia will take your question and we'll close on. Go ahead, you have the floor.
Alejandra, I just want to say thank you so much for your due diligence in providing that summary regarding the affordable housing. And we really appreciate all the work that you've been doing in regards to that, and the fact that you made a point of presenting that information to the community at the ULIP hearing. So I just want to say thank you very much for it.
Thanks, Ms. Boyd.
Okay, all right, so let's have more egg on my face. Are there any other chairs that I did not recognize? And I apologize right now if I did. Okay, seeing none, that concludes our committee reports. For those committees that have action items, please remind me when we create the agenda to make sure that we add those. Moving on to the agenda, I believe next item should be the administrative report.
Yes.
Yes.
So,
okay.
Okay. So, thank you all. My report is going to be relatively brief, but I will just share some of the things that the office has done so far since me starting back in March. I just also want to make it clear, we're here to serve the public. You know, something that's important to me, and I've said over and over again, is I want to increase transparency in how we do things in our office. So if you see shortcomings, right, bring them to me. I'm fine with that. You know, I get it. The recordings are not on the website right now. I completely understand that frustration. So please, thank you for letting me know. Now I can sit down with the staff and we can figure out a quick and comprehensive way to get those recordings up immediately after they happen. So, you know, when you guys bring this stuff up in the exec meetings and in the general, I'm taking notes. So I appreciate these things because, you know, the emails come into the office often, but, you know, I see you guys a lot. So when there's something, you know, that you see that could be fixed or, you know, it's a shortcoming, please let me know. I will work with the staff to try to address it in the best way possible. With that being said, moving forward, we have put an updated version of the bylaws on the website. I think that the version on there before did not have, I think it was missing pages. We recognize that, so we put the appropriate bylaws on the website. The next thing on the administrative side is our office is COVID ready. So when we decide to open the office back up to the public and folks can come into the office, we have areas that are socially distanced, so they will still be able to come into the office and get service in person. Let's see, next, our office submitted a worksite application to SYEP. So we're hoping that, you know, we're able to get a couple of individuals who can come into the office. Hopefully they're from the community, but I just wanted to let you know that, you know, I think that is important that our office participates in this program. So we've submitted that worksite application. Next, a budget request letter was sent out earlier this month to each chair of their committee. The reason for the budget request letter is I know that you guys have things planned or you're trying to plan things. I really like a streamlined approach. So, you know, the way that I really envision this is while you're working with your committees and you're coming up with things to do, you know, put it on paper, right? come up with a proposal, and then send it to the staff. So we have a clear picture of what you're trying to do. That allows me to look, once I get the opportunity to completely look at the budget and see what we can actually do, and not, use arbitrary numbers that aren't there, right? So please, if you're a committee chair, talk to the folks on your committee, the board members and the community members, see what type of things that you guys want to do. Submit the proposals, and then, we can work together to get those things implemented. So that letter went out that earlier this month. If you didn't receive the letter, please let me know, so I can make sure that you get that. Next, the staff, along with Fran, we are going to do a mass distribution pop-up. We're going to start that on Friday, April 30th. So every Friday at the train stations in our district, we're going to be out there giving masks away, and also information about the community board. Rather than just giving masks away, we want people to know that there is a community board here, right? So that's extremely important. So we're going to be out at those train stations. We're going to do one train station each week. And that is actually, I think that we put that on our calendar on the website. So you can see exactly which station we'll be at on that Friday. Let's see, next, we are going to be doing a community cleanup with Repair the World on Sunday, April 25th. We will be sending an e-blast out to everyone on the community board and to the community listserv. So if you're interested in participating with that, you can contact our office, and we'll make sure that you get in contact with DSNY, or you can work with us, and we'll make sure that you have all the equipment necessary. Let's see. I'm gonna come back to that one. Let's see. At this moment in time, we are in the process of adding stuff to our website. So as I said before, if you see something on there and you're like, okay, that doesn't seem that intuitive, please let me know, let the staff know. I have no problem looking at that website, coming up with different ways to try to relay that information so it's more clear to people once they go onto our website. Next, the district cabinet, which is one of my main responsibilities, is forming. Right now, I'm in the process of solidifying a day with the agency representatives to see exactly what fits the schedule. Since this position hasn't had a district manager in quite some time, they've been doing a lot of stuff with other community boards. And I want to make sure that, if we're starting this district cabinet anew, we're not being overlooked, right? So that's still in the process of being formed, but we're very close. And once that gets solidified, an email will go out to everyone letting you all know that the district cabinet is back up and running. And I will have the opportunity to listen to constituent concerns and take those directly to agency representatives. And this is a two-part thing. Thank you all for your stance on the Zoom license. I think it's phenomenal that we got to increase the Zoom license to 500. I know that there, if for the individuals who did not or weren't able to participate, to actually view the Zoom meeting for the ULERT, if they have a testimony, please send it to the office. And then we can add that. We can put all that information in one place. So if they weren't able to participate, which is terrible, but we're trying to correct these things. So if they weren't able to participate and they're interested in getting their testimony on the record, please, they can send that directly to the office. Also with the Zoom expansion, just like before, the 100 capacity, individuals who called in were subject to that 100. Most people have phones. I'm not saying that everyone does, but most people do have phones. But that 500 is also still subject. Calling on the phone is still subject to that 500 cap. But if people are able to just use their phone and call in, they can at least hear the information as it's being presented. And then the last thing that I wanted to let you all know is that my review of our budget, our office budget, is ongoing. There was a meeting scheduled that got pushed back with OMB. Currently, OMB is working on the executive budget, so they've put a complete suspension on mod processing. So that's something that we have to do in order if we have to, essentially, if we're going to spend money, we have to do a mod. And so they put a complete halt on that. And at this point in time, I do not know when that suspension will be up, but this is why I'm telling all of you and the committee chairs is if you are wanting to plan something, please get the proposals in. So as soon as that suspension is lifted, we can put all of that in to OMB. With that, that's my report.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. District Manager. Are there any questions for the District Manager? Hold on a second, I see Ms. Boyd. Are there any other questions for the District Manager?
Can I say something?
I'll put you on the list as well. Hold on one second, Ms. Williams. I'll put you right after Ms. Boyd.
Okay.
Are there any other questions for the District Manager? All right, so I see Ms. Boyd and Ms. Williams. We're going to close on those two names. Go ahead, Ms. Boyd. Your question. I'm sorry, Ms. Williams. Ms. Boyd has a question. Go ahead, Ms. Boyd.
Okay. So one of the questions that I have is there's a possibility that the judge in our case will allow in-person hearing to happen somewhere in the community. And I do appreciate the fact that you understand, or it appears that you understand, that a lot of our residents do not have access to the internet, are not internet savvy. And so going out into the community and handing out those flyers, you know, at the train stations is very important to get the information out, because that's the way a majority of our residents find out about what's happening at the community board. However, the question that I'm asking is, will you and the community board office will be engaging in the same type of outreach if the judge decides to do an in-person hearing somewhere in the community to ensure that there's outreach to the residents who don't have access to the computers? Otherwise, it kind of defeats the purpose of us doing that if all you're going to send is an email. So I'm asking in advance, is it your intention to do an outreach into the community to let the residents know that an in-person hearing is going to happen, so that we can get as many residents who want to participate in this process to be able to participate?
Understood. I understand your concern. That type of outreach takes a lot of bodies. Now, while I understand that, you know, the district office, we're the staff, but this is one community board, and you know, I'm not trying to point fingers anywhere, but I think that one of the best ways that we all can do the outreach, right? You can't expect 3 people to do this huge, large scale outreach. It's just not realistic. But one thing that I do think, and this is just my opinion, I think that we all need to be working together to do the outreach. A lot of people on the board, yourself, other community members are part of organizations in the community. So if you get something and you know that this individual does not have internet, hey, how about you send that information to that person? That goes along with every person that's on the community board. You all have different listservs than I do. You all have different networks than I do. We're in this together, right? If we want people to have the information, we have to think of creative and cheap ways for that to happen. And word of mouth, because we're in the community district, word of mouth is important. Now, if we're able to do it, right, we could go to train stations and hand out that information if we're able to do that, if we have the capacity, right? But I do think that one of the better ways and quick and efficient ways is let's work within the community board to disseminate that information.
Thanks, Dante. I, for one, would be happy to volunteer to circulate flyers. I think many others would as well. I think all we need is the political will from the office to print them. And I think we can find the people power to pass them out. So I think, Alicia, we could probably partner together to get those handed out if we can find the people. And I know that I can give my own time to do that. And I'm sure I could find a few other people as well. So Dante, your point is well taken, and so is yours, Alicia.
So we are assuming that, can we ask then, will the community board be willing to sit there and create flyers for the event so that we, the community, who will be doing the flyering, and I do quite a bit of flyering in my community, will have some support from the community board in regards to that.
Yeah, I can work with the staff to create a flyer. I will also work with the committee to try to figure out, okay, exactly what do you want this flyer to look like? What information do you want on it? I really think that the committee needs to be a part of this. I don't just want this to be like, okay, we have a district manager now, and now, hey, go do things. No, like the committee needs to be a part of this. So before I start, making promises and saying I'm gonna do X, Y, and Z, I want to have a discussion at least with the committee on, okay, how do you guys think it's best to move forward, right? I serve at the pleasure of the community board. So I want to make sure I understand, okay, this is what they want to do. And then that's the method I'll take from there.
Well, my concern is time.
Ms. Boyd, you've asked the question already. He's answered. I think he's demonstrated a willingness to at least have the conversation. So if you have suggestions, absolutely. Ms. Boyd, thank you.
But not action.
Ms. Boyd, send your questions, constructive suggestions to the district manager, and he, in conjunction with the chairs of the committees, will figure out what's the best strategy to try and get this done.
We'll see.
All right, Ms. Williams, you had a question?
It's a question and a clarification of something I said earlier. I just want to ask district manager, you've been to the board now, how long, sir?
This is my 4th week.
Your 4th week. And have you been really feeling positive about Community Board 9?
I'm so sorry, I can't hear you.
How, so far, you've been here so many weeks and working with the community for those weeks, what is your take moving forward in your mind about Community Board 9?
If I heard correctly, I think your question was, I've been here for 4 weeks, what is my take on?
Yeah.
Moving forward, yes, like working with the community. How do you feel about the community?
Okay, well, on the administrative side, something that I think is important is I don't want everyone to think that, okay, I'm doing all of the work. I think that we together as teams, as one community board, can put in the work together to get all these things done. Something that's extremely important to me, as I just mentioned before, is working with the chairs of their committees, right? I think that that's extremely important. They have an obligation as a chair to do the work. And I have no problem, meeting with them to discuss, okay, this is your committee. How do you want things to go, right? And with the folks on the committee as well. But I do think I really want to have a hand in with the committees. I don't want to be I don't plan to, and I will not be a distant district manager. I think that there's a lot of committees on here on the board that are doing great work, right? We've heard testimony before, right? And so we want to make sure that we keep that energy going. Now, if there are committees that don't have things planned, okay, what can we do, right? Take suggestions from the public, okay, maybe, but I want to make sure that moving forward that we're one oiled machine, and it's not just a part here and a part here and a group here and a group there, right? The community board, they have their responsibilities, and as a district manager on the administrative side, I have my responsibilities to fulfill, the actions that the community board takes. So, what I want to do, and I will do my absolute best, is try to be as transparent as possible. So that's kind of my take forward since I've been here for the 4 weeks.
Okay, and I just want to clarify something I said earlier, that don't listen to the rhetoric. I did not mean the rhetoric of like people saying things. I mean community rhetoric. The reason I said that was that community board has really been on a path where we were not very comfortable with the community board or the community. But it's not the community board, it's not the community. As you just said, it's all of us together, working together. We can make anything better. And once it's not complete.
Excuse me,
broken,
can you please speak up? I cannot hear.
Once it's not completely broken, we can make it work, we can fix it. I say all that to say, once you're out there, or people comes into the office, I know and I listen to you, I have good feelings, that you will make a very positive difference in the community. So I just want you to make sure that you didn't think I meant the community board rhetoric. I mean community on a whole, whatever you get out there, because community board has been in the eyes and on the news of everyone for quite some time. And they're good and they're bad in every household, every community. So I just want you to take a positive step towards being our community district manager, and you take it from there. And as I listen to you tonight, I am very confident that's the path you're on. So again, thanks for taking my question. Thanks for listening to me. And I said all this because I did not meet you before. I missed the meeting before this. So now I get a chance to say, here you are, thank you, and good luck with community board.
I appreciate those kind words. Thank you. Hopefully sooner rather than later, since I'm completely vaccinated, I'll get the opportunity to meet you in person.
With God's help, yes, thank you.
Yeah, showing off, huh?
Yeah, a little bit.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. District Manager, for all your great work in a very short period of time. Looking forward to even more accomplishments and success on behalf of the team. Thank you very much. All right, we're going to go on now to the chairman's report. And I think really this is a testimony to the board in terms of the committees, the chairs, the district office, and the fine work you do. My report is probably going to be blessedly short. But just a couple of items I just want to just go over. So with regards to the EULA process, I think you've heard it mentioned. So first of all, I just really want to thank the EULA chair. I want to thank the chairs of the Housing Committee, the Environmental Protection Committee, Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Affairs. And I know I'm missing somebody. Am I missing somebody? And that's what happens when you go down these lists. But I want to thank all those chairs and all the other community board members and residents who have been working so diligently with regards to EULA. I think when we set out on this process, this is a conversation I had started with the ULURP chair in terms of absolutely while ULURP was doing this. I think this is a multi-pronged approach that we wanted to take with regards to addressing it. And I really wanted the committees to be empowered with regards to tackling the issues, asking the questions, and making the requests that they want to make. I think that they've been very successful at doing that. They've been very clear in terms of what they're trying to accomplish. I thank them for that. We're still pushing. This is a process that is still going. We are currently waiting for further resolution with regards to the TRO and to see what happens after that's lifted. Definitely one of the points that we've still been pushing is with regards to the ULURP clock, because it was stopped in the middle. We are trying to see how much we can get a significant amount of time back to make sure that we're not pressed in terms of trying to rush a process. To the concerns that were out there, we want to make sure this is something we can plan and we can implement in terms of trying to get maximal community input with regards to this as well. I want to thank the district manager. So one of the things that we did ask him to do was to look at the budget to see what he was able to do with regards to the Zoom license. And I think one of the first priorities he says, yeah, I need to do this. He was able to do that. We wanted to make sure he was able to do that without impacting any other functions or initiatives of the office. So we congratulate him on being able to do that. And the commitment is to continue to look for ways to see how we can actually push this out. I think it was very important when he brought out in terms of it's a matter of we have to see how much of the network we can press. In terms of 3 people in the office is not going to get it done. 42 people on the board is not going to get it done. It's going to be a matter of working with community partners. Some parts we can own, some parts we have to really collaborate in terms of making sure we're bringing people in to try and get the word out so people can be able to participate and have their say with regards to that. I also wanted to point out with regards to even some of the meetings, I think originally the problem we had was if you had told me that we're going to get more than 100 people in a meeting, I would have looked at the history and said it doesn't happen. We already had the 2 meetings in which we had over 100, which is a problem. I wish we could have more often, but I think that it's great that, that's something that we're working to address towards that. We're also going to continue to see how we can expand, but also, I also want to make sure that we're also very cognizant of we're moving forward in COVID, but we're not through it yet. So one of the considerations we do work with is safety. So that is going to be something that we think about as well in terms of making sure people are able to participate, able to have their say, but at the same time, make sure people are safe. going back to, I think even with that last meeting, I think one of the adjustments that was made is that in addition to, the Zoom, so we have the options of people logging into the Zoom, calling in, which is definitely something that helps as well. I think being able to cast the meetings as well, which is actually one of the original intents that the city, when they passed their ordinance with regards to us actually casting their meetings, wanted to do, to say that if there were people who weren't able to physically come, we are able to reach more people. And we're going to continue to try and do that as well in terms of pushing that further. I also want to point out that we are now in April. So at the board meeting this month, we are going to actually impanel a nominations committee, and we're going to start our elections process. So that's going to begin with the nominations committee, which will be announced at the general board meeting. That meeting will be responsible for canvassing the board to identify those people who wish to be candidates for the, wish to be candidates for the elected offices of Community Board 9. And then the process is going to continue from there. So that announcement will be made at the April board meeting coming up. Now, as we also consider that, one of the things that we'll need to discuss, this is something that did come up last year, was with regards to how will we meet, or how do we anticipate we're going to meet in June, and how will we vote. Our bylaws are specific with regards to the mandate signed paper ballots. Not understanding yet, or not having an idea where we're going to be in June, it is probably prudent for us to plan for the contingent in terms of we will probably need to do the same thing we did last year in terms of approving an amendment to our bylaws, which will allow for the possibility of electronic balloting. So that is language that we will probably introduce at the community board meeting in April for a formal vote in May. So that way we will know which way we're going to proceed for June elections. Or at least we're in a position to be able to pivot. If we're able to meet in person, obviously that's an option. If we are definitely not because conditions haven't improved sufficiently, at least we have that option so that way we can conclude with our business and make sure we elect the new slate of officers for the upcoming year. That is really all I have with regards to my chairman's report this evening. I will take questions. Okay, hold on a second. Ms. Boyd, I do see you. Are there any other questions? Seeing none, go ahead, Ms. Boyd, your question is?
Okay, so I know that, all of a sudden it would seem to be a surprise that a public meeting or hearing on a very controversial issue would all of a sudden be over 100 people when the prior hearing meeting was over 100. I don't understand why the community board, especially because in the past when we have very controversial rezonings, we've had physically over 500 people show up at a community board. But what I'm concerned about is the type of information and support that this community board will be giving to reach out to all the residents if the judge orders it. I'm concerned about how this board is going to really do the outreach to ensure that the residents who do not have internet access will be able to participate. And how are you going to be working with the community partners? I'm not sure what community partners you're talking about, but the community partners to ensure that that happens. Are you going to be reaching out to the city council people, the assembly people, the senators? Are you going to be creating flyers? How are you going to reach out to the community that is not on this platform?
I don't know. I do not know at this point. I think that is the conversation that remains for us to have in terms of how we pull this off. So, but I think that, what I want to be very clear about is the idea is, yeah, we want to do this. It is definitely not 42 people who want to do this in a vacuum where we don't speak to any of the neighbors and we don't have any input in terms of what's the best way to go about this. So the exact details I don't have right now. It is a conversation that I'm definitely having, this executive committee will be having, the district office is having, and the committees are definitely, I'm sure we're going to be discussing that as well. And we're taking all suggestions in terms of how can we accomplish this. But as I say that, I think we also need to make sure that we understand the parameters of we're still in a COVID world. And, the district manager can speak to that as well, but you know what, I'm not gonna talk about his pockets, but I don't know what money he has available, resources as well at this point. I think some of his conversations will give him a little more clarity for us in terms of what we can do and what we can't do. But I think those are all the factors that we need to.
Can I just offer a quick solution, potential solution?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. Could you repeat that?
Could I just offer a quick potential solution?
Sure.
It seems like DB9 offices are not ready to be opened, and it seems like people without internet access can call in. That's one way that people can get involved. But if we want to be involved in person, are there any partner offices that are currently open, such as elected representatives, where we could put this on screen and allow people to watch and invite them to attend, and kind of like in-person screening of the event while it happens live?
Well, there is some due diligence, and Dante, jump in if you want to add, or if I go off the rails on this. One of the questions we do have is, okay, well, listen, what spaces are big enough to do this? So obviously, the schools were very good partners with us in terms of being able to do that. I know that we had made an inquiry some time ago in terms of the availability of schools, and they had said at that point, no, they weren't having any outside groups coming to the schools. So, but that was 2 to 3 months ago. The question can go back out to see what spaces are available that can actually accommodate something like that. Obviously, even if they can accommodate, there's some other logistics that would have to be considered. But we're looking into this. The best I can say at this point, or at least the initial conversation I've had with the district office team, with Dante and the team, is that they're looking into it. So we'll have more answers. I just don't have them at this point.
Well, I just
So we're
want
asking the questions.
I just want to stay in the other lawsuit that's very similar to our concern. They found the park. So they're doing theirs in an outdoor venue. They found the park within the community board, park slopes. And so they're going to have a big screen. They're going to have the technologies for people to do social distancing outside and then be able to see the proceeding and also be able to participate in the proceeding by standing up and talking and having their comments right there and everyone seeing it. So, and of course we have big open spaces in our community, including BBG, including the atrium that's a part of Medgar Evers College. They have a big outdoor atrium that possibly could be used. So it's not necessarily restricting to indoor facilities.
Yeah, we're looking at whatever options we have.
Ms. Pinkerton had a question.
I see that. Yes, Ms. Pinkerton.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. It was more of a comment. I was just going back to the reference that, when you mentioned, if somebody told you you'd have 100 people attending a community meeting, you'd be quite surprised. I just kind of want to raise the issue that this is about 960 Franklin. It's a huge project. It's known all over New York City. Any engaged member of the city, if not Brooklyn, if not our community, is aware of this. And so it's not just another committee meeting. It's a high-level, high-profile issue. So, I think it behooves us to kind of identify these high-profile issues ahead of a committee meeting, regardless whether it's ULURP, it's the environmental committee, it's the housing, it's whatever, that we can maybe anticipate a higher number of people wanting to join our conversation. So that's just kind of out there. Thank you.
Right. Well, to that point, I think that, even looking at some of the data with regards to the meetings, I think overall as a board, generally, we almost never came close to the 100. ULURP definitely has been something, but it's been interesting even looking at those numbers. Prior to the certification, not really. The certification happened, not really. The presentation, a lot of emails went out saying you need to come to the meeting. And we really had no reference in terms of how many people were going to come. So yes, that first presentation, yeah, we got bombed. And I think that was a conversation we had immediately afterwards where we said, we're going to have to look at that when the hearing comes in terms of that's probably going to be a big event. So that was a conversation that had even started even after that first presentation happened. Next ULURP meeting happened, still under the 100 cap. This ULURP meeting happened, and I'm not sure where the communication happened, but they said, listen, this is the big one that you have to go to. So there was a big drive to get everybody to come to this meeting. And I'm not sure where the big drive was in terms of, I didn't understand it to be something different. It wasn't communicated. It was going to be something different, radically different, whether this is going to happen. So obviously, I mean, the most we could do when we got our knowledge of that was try and see if we can increase access to the point where, listen, even if you can't get into the meeting, at least you have a way of seeing it. So that way you can see what's going on. And if there's input, you can always do that later on. This is a process that's iterative. We're learning as we go along. I think the next step in that is that the district manager actually has increased the Zoom license, so we have that capacity, but there's more to be done. But I think that's one of the things we're doing. But this is, again, why it's important for the committees to really have this conversation and work in conjunction with the executive committee and with the district office. So that way, when we see these things coming, it's like, okay, you know what? In the past, if we knew something was going to be bigger than the auditorium, we would go to St. Francis de Sales, or we'd do something else. So that's going to be the kind of thing that we're going to need to know in advance, where it's like, listen, if we're really planning this big, let's make sure we have all our resources aligned so that we can do the best we can to make sure we can accommodate. But again, this is all iterative, and this is all a process in the works, and we're working on it.
Well, if this community board was listening to the residents in the community, I know I reached out to the community board prior to that Eula hearing to ask them to increase to 500, because I know I have a tremendous amount of work that I do to do outreach. And when I do outreach, it's pretty successful. And yet I was completely ignored. So,
But
I
you
mean,
went
you
and
did know
advertised
that
an
it was
event.
gonna
No,
happen.
but you went and advertised an event without letting us know. So how would we prepare for that? Because we hadn't changed in terms of we had.
What do you mean
100 staff,
without? Why would I have to sit there and tell you that I'm advertising an event that's public?
So
And that was
just to use
supposed
the
to
analogy-
be
to use the
information. I
analogy.
did tell you. I did
I
tell
have
you.
a party and you invite
But
500 people, but you're going to be mad at me because you invited 500 people. You have to let
Excuse
us
me,
know.
but I
This is
did
what
tell
I'm
you.
saying is,
I
what
did
I'm
tell
saying
you.
is,
I did.
that's
I
the
called you out.
coordination. No, okay. You call me to say I'm bringing 500 people. Doesn't mean I got my space. Doesn't mean I have the space. Those are the conversations which we have through the committees in terms of we make sure we get those things ready.
And we stated that at the committee that we were concerned
and Ms.
about
Boyd,
that.
and Ms. Boyd, and you know what? And the thing is, being concerned about that, the only thing we
And
can
I
do,
did tell you.
because we hadn't, and Ms. Boyd, we're not going to argue about it. The only thing we could do at that moment, because we had made a determination, was try and get additional access to people zooming in and being able to view what happened.
We did tell you.
That's all we could do at that stage. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Boyd. Very good. All right. With that said, that closes the chairman's report. We are now going to move on to the next portion of the agenda, which will be the creation of the agenda for the general board meeting. All right. Let me just get this quickly. All right, Ms. Carballo, are you ready? The recommendation for the agenda will be the following. So we're going to call the meeting to order. We're going to read the rules of conduct. Welcome in the rules of conduct. We're going to open the public session. There'll be presentations. Well, actually, Dante, do you know, are there any presentations scheduled for this month or any of the committees? Do you have people scheduled to present?
Not that I'm aware of, but if there are some up, then I can let everyone know.
All right, we'll need to solidify that. If there are presentations, please let us know if people are expecting or looking to present, just because we want to make sure that we're able to book appropriate time and they can, we can give them the parameters in terms of their presentations, how long they can speak for. Next item would be SLA applications. Do you know if we have any applicants from public safety?
I have public safety today.
Does public safety, did you know if they had any liquor applications, any liquor licenses?
Not that I'm aware.
Okay, fair enough. You know what, I'll tell you what, Alejandro, let's just leave it as a placeholder. If not, we can skip that in the agenda. The next would be the public commentary. Next will be acknowledgements.
Sound.
Then we're going to move into the business session. which will consist of the roll call, the approval of the minutes, committee reports, the district manager's report. Debbie, did you want to do a report this month, or you're good for this month?
I can do one next month.
Fair enough. Okay.
I'll do it
so
next
then,
month.
Okay, not a problem. All right, so then Alejandro, so after that, please put down the chairman's report. After that, please put down the voting session. Then put down unfinished business, new business, and we adjourn.
At what point will you be presenting the Parks Committee's, motions to the community so the community can comment on it?
That'll be during the committee report.
Yes, but that's doing business. The community cannot comment doing business.
I'm not exactly certain in terms of it's an item. Normally, the committee doesn't vote on board business.
Right, but the community has to know. The community has the right to first know what the motions are and then be able to make a comment on the motions. I mean, how are you supposed to? How are you?
The committee report will be out in advance.
Mm.
It is an item that we are recognizing will be handled during the committee report and during the business session.
Yes, but how would you figure out what the community thinks about the motions? When will the community be able to weigh in on?
No, what I'm saying is typically what would happen is the committee would vote on it. They would come either to exec, we would vote on and approve it here, or it would go to the board and it's voted on and approved there.
Right.
There's typically not a mechanism where we say, by the way, we're voting on something in the committee. So, I mean, it's open in terms of it's part of the amendment, so it's part of the minutes that are sent out. If somebody would like to comment in advance, they can comment during public commentary section. But otherwise, it's covered during the committee reports as part of the board business.
So then maybe you should provide that instruction that if people want to comment about these motions, that they should do it during the public comment.
People can comment during public session. I mean, I'm not sure what the additional notice I need to put. People are free to comment about any piece of the board business they want to. All right, and then we conclude with the agenda. So are there any additions to be made to the agenda as announced?
So I just want to be clear. So the agenda will be
Ms. Boyd, we're actually in business. We're actually in business. You haven't been recognized.
I just need to be clear.
Board members.
I understand.
For board members.
I just want to be clear. So the agenda will hold the 2 motions?
I'm sorry?
Will the agenda hold the 2 motions? So that people
Absolutely. We've already discussed that will be discussed as part of the committee reports and the resolutions we brought for the board during committee reports and voting. All right. Are there any additions to the agenda as we listed? Okay, seeing none from members of the executive committee.
I think that Ms. Pinkerton has something.
Can you? Hi, I know, Fred, I was just curious because you mentioned the nomination committee. Is it something that's going to happen during this month, or at least a discussion that it's going to happen maybe next month, or it's not a topic that you're going to bring up at all?
Nominations the committee will be announced during my chairman's report that the committee is being impaneled.
But you can't create that committee, Fred.
No, I can. That's part of, that is one of my responsibilities.
Fred. Check your bylaws.
One of my responses.
That is not. It states very clearly in the bylaws that that is one committee that you cannot form because it would be biased. You cannot do that. Please check your bylaws, Fred. Check the bylaws.
I'll check the bylaws.
You have to open it up during the business session.
Fair enough. Okay, Ms. Wood, let me look. I will confirm it for you right now. We'll confirm.
You can't do that. You can't create a committee that then might choose you as the chair.
It doesn't choose me. The only thing the committee is responsible for is identifying those who want to run.
Check your
That is all
bylaws.
it's responsible for.
Check.
I'm checking. I'm in the
But we
process
did
right
that before.
Huh? No, you cannot create the committee. The committee has to be done
Hold on.
open. People have to volunteer. You can't do that. You cannot choose the members of that committee. Because you can choose all the people who like you.
Choosing the members who like me on a nominee.
It's called conflict of interest, Fred. That's what it's called. That's why you don't do it. Please check
Okay,
your
Ms. Boyd, hold on. I'm checking right now. Bear with me 1 second.
trying to keep people honest.
That's fine.
Trying to keep people honest.
At the regular meeting of the board held in the month of April, a nomination committee consisting of an off number of members of not less than 5 or more than 7 appointed members shall be appointed by the chairperson.
Mm-hmm.
What section is that?
Correct.
6.2A.
Can you please,
6.2, thank you.
can you please put the bylaws link into the chat, please? So that
Ms.
everyone can
Boyd,
see.
at this point, you don't have the bylaws.
But you're talking about that.
We're talking about the community. We're talking about the community. The community is here. Can you
And the
put it
district
in the
manager did
chat?
say, well, yes.
Can you put it
But,
in the
okay.
chat? That's all we're asking.
But
We're asking you to
fair
share
enough.
the
Fair
bylaws.
enough. No, fair enough. It's not an argument. We'll do that.
Thank
Okay,
you.
but thank you very much. So
I'm
we've
gonna read
confirmed.
those
So
bylaws, because I know for sure.
at the April meeting.
But I'll read them.
Hey, it's Warren. Can we take a vote on the agenda, please?
Yes, hold on. Okay, Warren, we will take care of it. We're going to call it to order. So
I
at
don't
this
see
point,
it.
okay,
Okay.
Ms. Boyd, we'll take care of it offline. We'll take care of it offline.
At least you go to the website. They're on there.
Warren,
Don't tell me what to do.
Warren, order of the day. Order of the day.
Don't tell me
Order of
what
the
to
day.
do, Warren.
No, let's
Order
just
of the day.
vote
You
and
can
not
be
waste
aggressive with
time.
other black women, but
Why
you're not
doesn't
going
he
to be
mute
aggressive.
her?
Order of the day.
Okay?
Order of the day. Okay, at this time, I will entertain a motion to accept the
Get your
agenda.
dog.
as stated.
Get your dog. Put him on a
Ms.
leash.
Ms. Boyd, cut it out.
I am not the one.
Ms.
Okay?
Boyd, cut it out. Ms. Boyd, cut it out. All right, I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda as stated. Do I have a motion from a member of the executive committee?
So moved.
I have it moved by Alejandro Carballo. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Ms. Williams. All right, all those members of the executive committee in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay, are there any opposed? Are there any abstentions? Seeing or hearing none, Alejandro, please carry that the agenda was adopted unanimously by the executive committee. All right. Okay, so that concludes that piece of business. Are there
Can't hear you.
I'm sorry, I covered the mic. Is there any other business for this executive committee to consider at this time? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Excuse me. I didn't hear my name called, so I'm here. Vivia.
No, we had you. We had you.
Okay, very good.
Okay, were you in favor of the agenda? Just to confirm? Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm sorry. All right. So at this point, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So made.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 I
Aye.
hear a majority. we stand in adjournment. Time is now 8:58 p.m. Dante, hold on for a second. So Alicia, are you satisfied with regards to the nominations committee?
I stand corrected. Thank you very much. You just cannot select the chairperson. So that was the exception.
Okay. All right, we stand adjourned. Everyone, thank you very much. Take care.
You cannot
Good night. And once again, Alicia is
night,
wrong.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Yes. Dog.